Hey, it's ordinary old guy in the old garage gym, and before you go anywhere, I might have the key that you need to get to the place you want to go to successfully, either if that's putting on some weight, getting some muscles going, being fit, or maybe it's a goal, a dream that you want to pursue. I don't know, but this is important. I'll try to make it quick, right? So you don't sit here and go, well, I don't want to hear a bunch of blabber and see you later, because I have maybe, it's probably too late. Everyone's already gone. But anyone that stayed around for this so far is going to get a great thing coming to you. So without stalling out any farther, number one, let's just start with patience to do something. Just having some patience. That's one, but that's not the key. That's not the key. Okay, all right. If we're going to stick to fitness, we're going to stick to bodybuilding and all these different things. And what have I been doing? I've been trying to figure it out. I've been going back. All the things. What have I done before? What didn't work? What does work? All these different pieces. And I think this is where it comes down. What it comes down to. I started thinking, there's a reason why in the past, trying to go really slow with a full range of motion has been something that maybe didn't work out so great for me personally over time. And there's a reason for that. And I think it's the same reason that most other people have as well, because it's so incredibly difficult and taxing. And especially if you're starting out, you're already struggling maybe, and you don't need to feel worse by sitting there and going, oh my gosh, I'm just doing the bar and I can't even do the bar. This is no fun. Especially if you're in a public setting. Come on, we all know everybody is going to be thinking about something. As much as you try not to, who cares what anybody thinks? You're going to care what people think. And you don't want to be sitting there at the bench with nothing on the bar and all these kinds of things. And now I'll use some machines and I'll just plug a pin in and nobody will notice what I'm doing over there, things like that. Totally understand all of that. So I've been trying to do super slow, full range of motion, slow eccentric control, all this other stuff, and it's incredibly brutal to do that. And then there's the old flip side. What did I tend to gravitate towards? I started to move towards lower reps for strength. I liked trying to be strong. I liked the fact that at least I could be strong, and then even if I didn't look strong, but I was strong, at least I could rest my hat on that. Versus I didn't want to be the other direction, where maybe I looked like I was stronger than I actually was, and I look like I'm strong, but I'm struggling with this weight that people would look at and go, really? That you look like that would be easy for you. I don't know where any of that came from, but that's what I used to do. And I would tend to gravitate back towards that. I've done some old basic 5x5 stuff. I've actually tried to follow Mike Metzer's material specifically. I actually have his book, which is a little different than like when the Buff Dudes did a video on doing Mike Metzer's work, or some of the other guys have commented, or Renaissance Periodization has suggested, well, maybe if you put a tweak here and there, and this is how you bring it up to speed in modern time. I'm not sure. That being said, it's because it's more enjoyable in some way. If you're you keep adding weight, at least it feels like you're going somewhere. At least it feels like you're getting stronger. Maybe even if you're not really getting stronger. But the fact that maybe you started off on an exercise at this weight and now you're up to this weight, that says something in itself. Not to say that you can't do a lot of slow, high rep stuff at the same weight. It's just incredibly difficult and taxing. So there you have it. You have the dilemma. You have the dilemma of heavy weights. You have the dilemma of high repetitions and what to do with either one. And should I follow this program, and what works for me, and how does my body respond? I will say that as I'm getting older, I think more reps do matter. All those years of lower reps, heavy weight, have certainly beat me up. My joints, my shoulders, my elbows, everything is pretty beat up. Probably not a great idea. And I had this wild idea here with this, and I thought, oh, there's just no way I'm going to be able to continue to grind just doing this bar, and just slow, and we're going over to the leg press, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna be able to do it. It's too taxing, too hard, too mentally draining. I don't have that I did in the past. So I had this crazy thought, and it's this: why not do both? Why not mix it up? Why not, in fact, work out a certain way? I mean, why does everything have to be so this is the way it is? You go back in time, this guy worked out this way. That guy, I have old magazines. This person, here's a recommended routine for triceps. There's a different routine for triceps. There's a different routine for triceps. And they're all different routines. But they're for the same muscle. And they're for the triceps. And it's like, okay, different rep ranges, different sets, right? All these things have gone on over time. So, you know, I think unless you're an IFBB pro, you know, and or that's really what you want to do, you know what? Maybe there's a trade-off here between like enjoy what you're doing on top of your goal. You have to take breaks sometimes. I'm going to try to do things more economically and more differently than I did before. I'm probably not going to go back to my old routine. I'm going to try to stick to a higher rep range, and I'm going to try to stick to really concentrating and connecting to my muscles. And I'm going to try, and this is it here at the end. The one of the big key parts here is I'm trying to come into doing this work, whether it's here where maybe I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go somewhere where there's actual other people, and with the mentality of this, that I'm going to work out, and my goal is maybe not necessarily how many reps I'm going to do, how much weight I'm going to do, but how hard I'm going to make it. And that's my goal. The goal is now to make it as hard as possible. And that's the goal. And that's just something I'm going to just try to mess with. Because if you think about it, you go to the gym, you know it's supposed to be hard, but somewhere in our survival instinct kicks in and it gets too much. And even if we push with intensity, it's temporary. It really is. And most of us know that even if we're doing an exercise and we're going to shoot for you know 10 or something, and the third rep in, we're going, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it to 10. And even if we sit there and go, okay, but I got to keep going, and I got to make it, I got to push, we start adjusting numbers in our head and going, okay, maybe I'll shoot for 5. And then if you think you can get to 5, okay, if I can get 5 to 7, right? Versus like, no, I'm going to 10 no matter what. And if I can't get to 10, that's it. I'm not trying to pick other numbers. I think we can't escape that. I think that's just the way the brain works. But that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to keep the mindset of every time I come in here to do an exercise, that the goal is for it to be as hard as possible. And if I make it as hard as possible, that's going to grow my muscle. And hopefully what it'll do is it'll help grow my muscle quicker and faster, and all the ways I've always wanted to grow muscle. Versus if I flail a bunch of weight around and I make progression and I'm gaining consistently, but not as much as I wish I could. And then you push more and you push more, and you end up maybe going nowhere or staying where you were. And so I'm going to totally turn it all around here, and I'm going to go as slow and as steady and make it as difficult as I can, and track that and see what happens, and try not to mentally get caught up in how much weight am I now doing compared to what I did, how are my muscles looking, how am I feeling, and that's it. So hope that little bit sharing helps for everybody, and maybe some of those keys, maybe mix it up. You do both. You spend a couple of weeks doing a bunch of high rep stuff, and then you do a couple of weeks of lower rep stuff. I mean, again, there's no hard fast rule to this. I mean, again, unless you're really training for a competition coming up, then you listen to all those other pros. You go watch those guys and Christopher Bumstead, and you know, and do those routines, and buy Jeff Nippard's new book, and or you really want to get fired up, go watch Seth Froese, who's trying to maybe train for competition again and all that stuff, and you know, you really want to get hyped up. But other than that, if you're like, hey, my goal here is just to try to like build muscle and stay fit, you know, just make it as hard as possible without injury, right? All right. Thanks for stopping by.